Kia ora koutou. It's great to be here, and as Janet was reflecting earlier, 19, I think you've been to. I think I've been to 18 or 17 OERC, so I'm not going to let the fact that I'm now a member of Parliament stop me coming to the Otago Energy Research Centre Symposium. But I did have to fly in this morning, and I was thinking about Solis's comment that we've got to stop flying. I have burnt more carbon since becoming a Green MP than I've ever burnt in my life before. And this is the dilemma that we have when we're trying to make change. So I do think about the urgency that we've got and the urgency we have to make change. I probably shouldn't even say this in this statement, but we can't let this government continue. Okay, I've said it. You know what I mean. Vote next year. I wanted to put this picture up because Manapuri was the birth of the Green movement in many ways, but it's also New Zealand's largest hydro power station, something that really does support our network. And it is quite remarkable for those of you who have visited to see what was done in the days before health and safety. Absolutely incredible, the work that went on there, the tunnels, when you drive down, you drive on the wrong side of the road because there were Americans project managing the system. So you have to know these things. Anyway, that's just let's see. Oh, here we go. Our vision is that we'll have healthy homes, caring communities, access to the natural environment, where we're an energy sovereign nation with cheaper, cleaner, smarter electricity, and where we prioritise a democratised system, a decarbonised, democratised, decentralised system. Which way are we going? Yeah, that way. And I've been really, really grateful to not just have to develop this myself, but what politics depends on is the great hive mind that's out there. So part of the work we've been doing is gathering together some of the sharpest minds to give advice, and that's an open invitation to anyone to get in touch, because we need to understand where we can take action. So if we think about an analysis of what of our strengths, we've got our resources. We're a temperate nation. Some of our weaknesses, well, we talked about the geography and the way that we're so spread out, and we're a fault line. We're a country that's a fault line, essentially. Those natural hazards are going to cause us some difficulty. We've got opportunities and threats. We've got the big threat of the dry year, which happens sporadically, but we know it happens and it's going to happen again. It's a 5 gigawatt hour gap over 4 months, and we don't yet have a solution for it. And yes, we've got poor quality homes that we talk about often, that CEN has been working on forever and a day, brands, etc. But we've also got a market that doesn't really think about the future. And yet we've got all of these opportunities. We've heard today about the need for a strategy that considers New Zealand Inc. And we've got all of these other elements here, but the investment available for renewables, as we heard from Ben, I think, and from others, is huge. One of the things that we also heard some desire for was the distributed generation side. C mentioned the need for distributed generation in that community. I think Pushpendra talked about distributed generation in India. This is something that we've really got an opportunity to explore much, much further. But right now, we've got a government that is so focused on fossil fuels that they can't see where we're going. This is Stockton. Over here is the Denniston Plateau. That stuff that you can see there looks like nature, but it's actually overburden. It's sitting on top of a whole lot of coal. So we've got to get rid of it, according to Shane Jones, and we've got to dig up that coal. That's the Denniston Plateau. There's some, pretty neat snails and birds and lizards there as well, but they just sit on the overburden, so we've got to get rid of them as well. And this is the repeal of the deep sea offshore oil and gas ban. Now the government wants to go and find some gas. They want to find some oil because we're going to need it, according to Shane Jones. We're going to need it to have a diversified energy supply. Ben might like this. We don't. We think we can have a diversified energy supply and be an energy sovereign nation without the need to burn fossil fuels and make and cause climate chaos and make it any worse. So what we've got at the moment is a three-headed taniwha of a government that just doesn't seem to understand what we're facing. And it was really interesting last week when the Boston Consulting Group launched their Energy to Grow report, lovely big report, quite extensive. And Shane Jones was in the room with me, asleep. But he woke up for question time. And the thing he said to the Boston Consulting Group was, look, you guys, you've got to know that election time's coming up, and New Zealanders are not going to sit by. They're not going to sit by and have high prices. We're here to make sure that they have access to coal, and you might have to pay for it. He essentially threatened the sector to say, we're going to make gentailers and others build coal-fired generation. I'm paraphrasing, he didn't quite say that, but you get the drift. Which sort of left members a bit gobsmacked. And of course we've got Simon Watts. I've got to say he's a better energy minister than Simeon Brown, but we get, if you ever watch Parliament TV, we're called communists or green banshees or all kinds of fantastic insults, which is actually quite entertaining because Shane is sort of like the Joker at court. He's really good at insults, but not very good at actually doing stuff. And what we've got now is austerity. And that austerity means job losses. It means active deindustrialization of our nation. It means a lack of vocational training because if we're decarbonising, we need engineers, we need electricians, we need people who can build stuff, and yet we're cutting all of that out. And we've had the cuts, the absolute cuts to the bone of the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Authority. We had the pullback of the Community Energy Fund because landlords needed tax cuts. And I forgot, we also need to smoke more. So Philip Morris needed some more money. And this is the government's priorities at the moment. So that's the bad stuff. It's not quite finished. One of the other things that would have come out of the Frontier report that some of us may have read was that the market is going to deliver everything we need. But we know that the market is not likely to be able to manage what is coming at us like a freight train. The market is not suitable to manage the bigger challenges. And we've seen some of the big names in the energy sector, like Keith Turner, ex-CEO of Meridian and then of Transpower, essentially say that the system is broken, we need radical change. And we've had Babu Bahirathan, who was the CEO of Nova, I think, Pod Corp CEO, who essentially said, I don't think our economy can survive with these kinds of price rises. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that loss of industry in particular, and households having to choose between heating and eating. So our focus areas and things we're working on at the moment, and I'm really grateful to those of you who are helping us develop our plan for the next 3 years from 2026. Coherent and adaptive energy strategy and planning. So the energy strategy has been sitting on the government's desk from the last government. They don't like it. It hasn't been published yet. We could throw out what is roughly there and have everyone have a look at it and kick it around. We could do that now. But we're working anyway in the background. That's what we can do in opposition. We want to take a whole of system approach, empowering consumers and communities. You might have seen the Network Transformation Pathway report of 2019. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but we're supposed to be thinking about customer or consumer-centric approach, and that hasn't really happened yet. And we need to think really, really deeply and hard about how we can have a secure, clean and affordable energy supply. That means enabling networks and the grid. So things we've been working on are what are our priority levers we can pull in our first 100 days of government, and we need to work hard to bring electricity prices down in the first instance. So that is going to be one of our key priorities. And then we've got to look at what are the longer term work that we will do over the first term of the new government, and then expecting we should have a second term, because there's some big structural stuff we need to do, such as, well, much of it in the first 100 days won't rely on the budget. It'll be more regulatory change. We might have to change the purpose of the Electricity Authority, essentially moving it away from private benefit to public good in our energy system, both our electricity and our whole energy system. And then those of you who've I didn't bring my green budget book up here, but those of you who have seen our green budget will have seen that we've put aside 4.8 billion for new or for generation and storage. And that's to start the journey to make sure we have direction in our energy future, to show clear direction. We'll also reinstate the funding to the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Authority, the Government Investment in Decarbonising Industry Fund, the Community Energy Fund. There's a whole lot of other things we'll do, the Clean Car Discount, the whole lot of other things we will do in addition. But that 4.8 billion is about showing the sector that we're not willing to wait for the market, that we are investing, and we're investing to make sure the market knows where we're heading. We want longer term contracts, we want certainty, and we want some stability. And we think Kiwis want the same thing. So that's where we're heading. And if we think about where we're going now, that direct government investment, this, by the way, is just taken the day before, a photo yesterday this is the main trunk line heading through the Molesworth station. It's quite impressive all the way down the Molesworth. The direct government investment to provide that clarity, but also that investment support for iwi, hapu and community energy solutions. So if we think about local area energy planning, community energy hubs, combining the community sector with networks, with local councils, regional councils if they still exist, that type of planning helps build for decentralized energy systems. And of course, we'll reinstate the Clean Power Payment, which is about assisting households to install solar panels and battery or home energy improvements, getting rid of their gas. We definitely need to get rid of the gas because it's getting more expensive and there's not much of it, and we need to use it for strategic purposes. So that's a really key part, which is going to help with the decentralization and that strategy, planning and purpose for a decarbonised energy system. Because we should be perfecting a system that's designed, we shouldn't be perfecting a system that was designed for the 20th century. We should be building a system that's fit for the 21st century, where we're sitting right now, and I think that's it, but we just need to electrify everything.